Okay, the air conditioning, this is just a little refresher course for anybody new catching the video or new subscribers who haven't seen this, about testing your equipment and your vacuum capability before you ever screw in your fitting access ports to the system. So right now we're isolated, we're only connected up here, but these are not screwed in yet. So I'm only reading the vacuum and all the possible leaks that are from the seals here, from the crimp connectors, from the fitting to the hose that could be leaking. Hoses could be leaking. Any of these seals could be leaking. Any of these seals could be leaking. Anywhere in your system, where even if you had analog gauges, where your analog gauges connect could be leaking. Even internally, some of the gauges can even develop leaks inside the gauge, not connected to any fitting seals or threads. You can't read this on an analog gauge. Here we are at under 100 microns right now. So I know that with the vacuum pumps on, this system through the hoses is capable of drawing 100 microns. That is way more than enough than is needed for the system. So I know I'm good to go from here on out. So anything that doesn't get down low or has a problem, I know the problem is developed after my fittings, after my gauges. None of my hookup of my equipment could be part of the equation of a problem of a leak. So now I'm going to hook up. There it goes. I can hear it. There goes the second one. They got a new condenser on here. This was a front end accident, so it has a brand new condenser, as you can see in there. And I can see it's the model, it's from the company. It's not Toyota, but it's not a really bad condenser on this one. It is a APC, and looking at the fin spacing, not horrible. That looks pretty good. I don't know about counting because I don't have this on that. I can't count how many refrigerant 2 passages there are, but you know, I'm not going to give it a failing grade just by looking at it because it doesn't look that bad at first glance. So that one I know I'm not going to have too much of a problem with. So we're already down. So I had a system that was at atmospheric pressure, and from when I first tapped these down, we're already down into 900 microns. But that's not really the true reading. The true reading is if I turn off my vacuum source, and then the pressure sensor will be reading the system and not what my pumps are capable of doing right now at this point. So let's kill our vacuum source and let's read what the system is capable of right now. Now remember, any moisture contamination is in there still. I just did a quick vacuum. It was only enough to remove the majority of air out, but not all of it. And so let's watch our vacuum. So this is it stabilizing out, it's equalizing. And as you can see, it's with the vacuum off. I turned the vacuum off. Pressure is somewhat stabilizing. That's really, really slow. And what I would account that to is not a leak, but just refrigerant trapped into oil and moisture trapped into oil, slowly burping out of the oil, boiling off and raising the pressure. I only had it on the vacuum, what, 1.5 minutes or so. So let's continue on, and I have to do the rest of the vacuum it out, and let's see where it goes. We can tell how dry the system is by what my final vacuum will get down to. I know I have a brand new desiccant material because this is a new condenser, and it has the receiver dryer on the side, and it's filled with the bag with the desiccant BBs in it that dry out the refrigerant oil. So we'll leave it here. I'll come back on the next video. I'm gonna add some oil to compensate for this manufacturer's condenser, which is, I think on this Toyota, is 45 milliliters of ND11 oil, which is right here. So I'll inject 45 milliliters of ND11 oil, and I'll inject some UV dye into the system. So all the systems always have dye inside of them to look for future leaks, since unfortunately the majority of the times when you buy a condenser, it does not come with new O-rings. See the fitting right there and the fitting right there? Well, the O-rings are attached to those fittings. When you buy a new condenser, it doesn't come with new O-rings. And 98% of everybody reuses the old O-rings, and roughly 90% of the time, it doesn't leak right now, but they leak later. All right, So I'll go on from here and we'll see where we go.